full moon is July the 29th at 10:35 a.m. and I'm currently recording this July 28th at 8 p.m. This full moon is critical because it's in between this Barbault Basket that we've had earlier in this cycle, starting around the new moon from July 15th through the 26th. And next month, or cycle, August 12th, is when the eclipse seasons begin. Also, the North Node will enter into Aquarius. So this full moon events, geopolitical events, will increase uprisings, war, fighting, leaders being in the focus. Maybe leaders fighting with other countries' leaders, causing wars and fightings to escalate, or causing protests to escalate. This is a intense 2 weeks that we are entering into. So I expect the markets to follow that energy as well. Taking a look at the markets quickly, since this new moon on July the 14th. This is SPX for New York Stock Exchange. It's been volatile. It's been trending downwards. Bitcoin, this is a 4-hour chart. The new moon started and it pushed upwards very nicely, and then it became volatile. It rose up, but then now it seems to be trending down. And I do have to note that on July the 20th, there was a brief market rally on this day. I had a viewer make a comment about it, so I just want to give them kudos to that. The market overall has been volatile. Started out great, volatility, made its peak about 66,000, and then has started to come down. I feel that this volatility is going to continue in this direction. Now, this last half of the cycle, we could have more challenges because the moon is opposite to Jupiter and next to Pluto. And the sun is next to Jupiter, and Jupiter's opposite to Pluto. Pluto, that's money, wealth. It is this push and this pull of competing against each other, competing for prices to increase, decrease. We could have some challenges. The North Node is currently at the very last degrees of Pisces, getting ready to change into Aquarius August 18th. But because the North Node moved slowly, last degrees that it's at, it is stirring up problems, some challenges to look at. When a planet, the North Node, a comet, an asteroid goes into one side to the next, it stirs up a drama. So with the North Node here at the 29th degree on this full moon, right before we have this eclipse, I see this as just a very volatile period. We could have some extreme price movements up and down. It could be overall volatile. During this full moon, the moon is sextile to Neptune. In New York Stock Exchange's chart, that is positive. So for New York Stock Exchange, that could look better last 2 weeks than it did in the first 2 weeks of this cycle. The geopolitics, the events that happen within this last 2 weeks leading up to this eclipse will dictate the market. There's a Fed chair meeting or announcement that's happening also within these 2 weeks that will also greatly influence the market. With Jupiter opposite to Pluto, I feel that this is going to challenge the financial markets. We still have the Barbault Basket occurring, but the moon next to Pluto, that's power opposite to Jupiter, expansion of power to maybe too much power, or possibly overconfidence in the markets, causing the markets to not perform as well or as expected. Overall, I do see the cycle for both crypto and New York Stock Exchange to be volatile. Looking at the North Node. North Node in Aquarius is the lowest point of the business and economic cycle. In 1990, right before North Node entered into Aquarius, the Iraq invasion of Kuwait began, and oil prices rose sharply. And I'm just mentioning this as something to just be aware of, that inflation could intensify. We could have energy costs, food costs increase even further, oil prices rising, and other invasions and wars intensifying. And along with that comes financial stress and geopolitical uncertainty. That could be the tone and the energy of these 2 weeks from the full moon through the next new moon. Bitcoin, we still have Saturn squaring to natal sun. This is a reason why I believe that this cycle thus far, the market did not go up any further. It's like it was capped out. It stopped at a certain point and then began to come back down. And that I believe is because of Saturn. Saturn is retrograde. It will come back to this 13 degrees and cause the markets to possibly revisit its low that it recently had, or just have the markets in a negative momentum. For this 2 weeks, I do see volatility. And that's because the moon is sextile to Bitcoin's moon. Sun is trying to Bitcoin's moon. But with Saturn squaring to the sun, volatility, I see this continuing. Pluto will sextile to Bitcoin's moon. That is extremely positive, increasing the power of Bitcoin, maybe Bitcoin dominance increasing, or volume trading increasing. But around the 6th through the 10th, that 5 days, over the course of that 5 days, at some point, we could have a price spike, price increase, a mini price run. But I don't expect that to stay like that for the full 2 weeks. Because on August the 13th, Mars is opposite to Saturn. The days leading up to this new moon solar eclipse, we could see the price starting to decline. So let me say that again. Full moon, I see this next 2 weeks of the 29th of July through August the 11th as volatile. We could have a positive period between the 6th and the 10th, somewhere in that time frame. Overall volatility expected otherwise, and the days leading up to this full moon, I see this as a challenge, negative fear returning. New York Stock Exchange, there are not any planets talking to the natal sun. The sun and the moon, though, are squaring to natal Venus. That is a bit of a challenge. This, I see New York Stock Exchange continuing volatility. It could continue to trend downwards as well, especially as this North Node is at its final degrees of Pisces, the 10th house, the 9th house where the midhaven is, and getting ready to enter into Aquarius, the 8th house. North Node coming into this sign where Pluto is, and natal Pluto is, we could have some sharp volatility, sharp pullbacks, sharp runs, sharp movements. For these next 2 weeks, I do see continued volatility. This could be overall trending downwards because of the moon and the sun both squaring to natal Venus. For New York Stock Exchange, from the 29th through July the 11th, there's no major transits of note. Excuse me, there is. August the 1st, Mars will trine natal Pluto. August 1st is a Saturday. The markets are closed on the Saturday, but this could actually influence the end of the day on the 30th, and possibly even the full moon. The full moon for the New York Stock Exchange, I do see volatility possible ending that week in more of a positive momentum. The other transit of note would be Lilith trine natal Saturn. Now it's on the 13th. So the days leading up to this lunar eclipse could be in more of a positive momentum. Full moon I do see as volatile. The days afterwards, the Thursday, Friday afterwards, could be leaning more towards positive. Volatility in between that period, from that following Monday all the way up to the next new moon. But the few days before that new moon occurs, we could see the market momentum start to change into more of a positive direction because of Lilith trine natal Saturn. Overall, for both markets, I do see this as challenged. Overall, volatile markets, a lot of headlines happening, Fed making announcements on interest rates, and that will 100% affect the markets, regardless of what transits are going on. The solar eclipse coming up is going to also influence the markets, regardless of what transits are occurring. because we're in such a heightened emotional period, the markets could move in either way. That's how I see the markets. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, and share.